Fantastic. I think, yeah, I think I'm happy to start, but as long as I'm able to share my screen. I've got some PowerPoint to talk through with you all, so you should be able to see that, and I'll introduce myself and talk a little bit about what we're doing. The principle of what I'm going to be talking about this afternoon is going to be about virtual reality in education, and then a little bit as well about what it is that we do at Avantis to help support that. So as you can see, my name is Chris. I'm part of the educational services team here at Avantis. We are responsible for content generation and training with virtual reality in schools. We work in schools in over 60 countries now. So we have quite a worldwide presence. So it's great to be talking to you guys this afternoon. So I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be actually going through today. Okay. So we're going to be looking a little bit at VR, so virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality in education, where we are, how we've got to where we are today. And then I'll talk a little bit about what we as a company actually do and the services that we provide alongside that. And then I'll finish off by looking at the impact that virtual reality can actually have in the classroom. So start off with, what is the purpose of virtual reality in the classroom? So the things that we focus on here at Avantis are improving outcomes. So improving outcomes in school through increased engagement versus traditional teaching methods, as well as knowledge retention. That's a big one. And I'll talk about that in a moment, about how VR can help improve the retention of knowledge for students. It also gives us some new and exciting ways to explore the curriculum. So importing new technology into schools, and there are new opportunities in here as well for actually creation. So it's a whole new media type that we are exploring with virtual reality and with 360 resources. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the research that has gone into what it is that we do. So we know from a lot of years of research that, as you can see, Schubert here in 2009 stated, experiencing things firsthand helps better commit them into our long-term memory. So for example, the example I always give for this is, if you were to describe me your hometown, you would be able to do a much better job of describing that than describing, say, a town you once read about in a book. Now, that is because you have a visual and a spatial memory of that town. You've seen it for yourself, you've experienced it, so it's committed to your long-term memory. And this was the basis of research that led us into class VR. So this research continued for many years. It's still going on today. We take an active part in that. So you can see, for example, from this data here that we look at, that Allcoat and Muln look specifically at the improvement of knowledge scores and the improvement of student confidence in subject matter when using virtual reality versus traditional teaching. And as you can see, there was a clear improvement. This study was the basis of a lot of what we do. There was a clear improvement in scores when using virtual reality for knowledge and also in confidence. So when students were reporting on their confidence in a subject, when they had experienced it virtually, as opposed to just having read about it or seen a video of it, their confidence actually went up as well. And also what we can see is that VR shows an improvement in mood for students. And this is something that we feed on quite heavily. So students are more engaged and they enjoy their lessons more when they are using a virtual environment. So they are able to simulate the content that they're learning about virtually, rather than reading about it. And you can see there's a clear uptick in mood score when looking at virtual environments. And that is where we fit in. So a lot of people think of virtual reality as something scarily sci-fi and futuristic that is going to come in and take over the way that you teach, but that's not what we're trying to do. So the premise of Class VR is that with virtual reality, you can use these resources to support traditional teaching methods, so supporting what you already do. And then that leads into an enrichment and then an enhancement of your curriculum. that we're not ever looking to replace the way that you learn or the way that you teach. All we are doing is providing new ways to do that by supporting, enriching, and enhancing. And we have shown time and time again, so there was more research by Moln and then Markovits as well, that showed that using virtual resources improves engagement and improves learning and knowledge retention. And that is that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we are all about at Class VR. So a little bit about us as a company and what it is that we actually produce to go into schools and what it is that is available through us. So we've developed a very unique way of implementing virtual reality into schools. So we have a complete system. It's a full start to finish system that comprises of the hardware, the software, all of the virtual content, all of the training, and all of the support all comes from us centrally here. And in case you can't tell, we are based in the UK. And what makes our product unique and what we are doing that no one else is currently doing is we have built an entire system specifically for education. There's a lot of virtual reality out there now, and you will have seen it on television and in films and on the news. No one else has built this product specifically to work in the classroom. There's other things that have been adapted, they have been changed and manipulated to fit into the learning environment. We have built specifically for teachers. And as well by the fact that the team I lead here in the UK, the Educational Services team, we all used to be teachers. So we know what it is the teachers are looking for in the classroom when we are developing content for the headsets. Also do something unique in that we support our teachers in creating their own content. And I'll show you a little bit more of this in a minute. But I think it's a very important facet of what we do, in that you can use 360 cameras or 3D modeling software to actually create content that you use inside the headsets. So it's not just consumption of content, it's actually creation as well, which is obviously very, very important. It's key within a school environment. Okay, so the headsets themselves, the Class VR headsets, they are a standalone device. So there's a lot of different devices out there. Ours is designed to be simple. So there's no mobile phones involved, as you may have seen in other solutions. There's no need to plug it into your computer. You don't need an expensive computer to run it at all. It is a standalone wireless device. So you take it out of the box, you turn it on, and it just works, which we know is important for teachers. And it is also designed to be an affordable way to introduce VR. Now, we know full well that spending in schools is strict, it is tight. And we know that to introduce this technology, it has to be affordable for as many people as possible. So we've created a solution that can be affordable for all schools. And we've also made it part of our development plan to support augmented reality as well, which I talked about at the start. But that's also another very important part of learning. So you're actually able to use a VR headset to view artifacts and objects that otherwise you would never be able to get access to in schools. So whether they are priceless artifacts from museums that people have taken a 3D scan of, or whether it's complete fantasy objects that don't even exist in real life, you can hold those things in your hand in augmented reality. So that's what we built. We designed this headset to fit in that. And then all of that is controlled by a unique online portal. So every teacher in the school has access to this portal, which allows you to control the devices remotely. So there's no need to go around and pressing buttons on students' headsets and getting the students to launch the content themselves and explaining how to do that. You press the button on your computer and the resource will play on all of your headsets simultaneously. Like I said, we know that this needs to be simple. If it's going to work, if virtual reality works in schools, it has to be simple and it has to be implemented easily. So you have loads of controls within this online portal. You can upload your content, you can track student focus, you can generate points of interest within images and videos. But most importantly, this is the essential part of what we do. You are in complete control of whatever is happening inside your headsets at all times. There is no way for students to launch anything that you as the teacher have not given them access to, and that is key for safeguarding reasons and just for concentration reasons, ensuring that your students are on task and they are working. Virtual reality is a lot of fun and it's really exciting to use, but it's important that your students are always doing the work that you have set them, not what they want to be doing necessarily. And alongside that, we have a bank of content. So we currently have well over 1,000 different experiences within our library that you can use. As I said, my team is responsible for the generation of that content, whether it's sourcing photos, 360 photos from all over the world or videos, or whether it's instructing our in-house design team to actually build 3D generated scenes, which I will talk to you about in a moment. We also now have integration with CoSpaces and with ThingLink, meaning that either of those resources can be used directly inside the headsets. And we add content to this every single month. We have an entire team dedicated to that here. And we take a lot of teacher feedback on that as well. So we are always talking to our schools and saying, well, what is it that you would like to see? What content is going to help you teach your lessons? How are we going to support you in your teaching? So I talked briefly about user-generated content, and it's something that we are very keen on here. So 360-degree cameras are quite prevalent now. You see those in a lot of schools, and we actually supply them with some of our kits as well. But what that means is you can capture your own resources and use them in VR. So to take an example, if you were to go on a school trip, when that sort of thing is allowed again, you can take a 360 camera with you and capture photos as you go around. And we see schools do this all the time. The school, rather than asking your students to simply remember what they saw, you're able to upload those photos directly into your VR headsets and take them back and show them again. They can stand where they stood. Moreover, we allow people to share that content with other users. So you aren't just limited to your own school trips. You can take other people's school trips as well. And the last thing, the most recent development we've done is our newest product called Avantis World, which is an online virtual reality educational theme park that brings in curriculum tracking and alignment, fully translatable web pages, as well as assessment and progress tracking, all of which is built in as well. So for example, there's an example on the screen here. If you were learning about habitats, for example, you can set your students a piece of work from wherever they are in the world. They can read about them. You can set them a little task at the end, and you'll see there's a button there's enter scene. Wherever they are, whatever piece of kit they're using, even if it's a laptop or a mobile phone, they can click on that enter scene and they can jump into that scene virtually from any device, whether it's a class VR headset or not. So we've done that in response to the current situation in the world and the need for education to continue wherever students might be. Okay, so looking at the impact that virtual reality has in the classroom, and to sort of briefly sum up what I've talked about here, I'm very aware I don't want to go over my allotted time that I've got. So some of the big results that we have seen since we deployed Pass VR nearly 4 years ago now. Main one for me, and this is as an ex-English teacher, is the impact on writing. So giving students first-hand experiences, like right at the start, allowing students to experience things firsthand means that they are able to write about them much more vividly and much more creatively. So again, I use that example of describing your hometown versus describing a town you read about. If you're learning about fantasy settings or learning about history, if you can put a headset on and actually go and walk around another place and see it with your own eyes, you are then going to be able to describe it much better when you come to put it down on paper. We're also looking at new ways of exploring key concepts. So particularly within the world of science, exploring concepts in 3D. So for example, we looked at habitats just a moment ago. Rather than just looking at pictures of a pond habitat, your students can actually go inside and walk around and go underwater and explore these things in real depth, which is a hugely powerful thing. Our schools are reporting a lot of good progress on that. I talked about engagement already. This is a very exciting piece of technology. I love being able to go out to schools and see student reactions when we do virtual reality work with them. But moreover, and I think also, almost more importantly, is the ability to empathize with other students and other people around the world by living their experiences. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with VR, but there's also a lot of very meaningful you can do in VR. So for example, when I was using these in class a little while ago, I did a whole World War II raft of work with a group of students, and we looked at some of the World War II cemeteries across Europe, and the development of student empathy, the understanding they gained from that was so much more than they could have ever got by seeing that in a book or seeing that in a video. We're also very keen on widening access, so we want to be able to make this technology available to as many people as possible, hence the affordability and the ability to see those 360 scenes from anywhere and from any device. And yeah, seeing people creating things in new ways is hugely exciting for me. As an educator, as an ex-teacher, seeing people coming up with new ways of using the technology is always refreshing. And like I said, we feedback from our teachers all the time. So a great time to be involved in this and to be part of the development cycle of bringing virtual reality into the classroom. And so that's a very brief overview of what we do here and of how virtual reality works, what it does, and why we do what we do. So I put my Twitter handle on the screen here. If any of you are interested in finding out more about how VR works in general, even outside of Avantis, please feel free to get in touch with me on social media and let me know your thoughts. I'm always happy to talk VR with teachers. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening. I will stop sharing now. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to take them.
Thank you, Chris. Could you perhaps show us examples of what the things that science teachers could use? From what you were telling us about,
yeah.
Everyone
Yes,
be able
absolutely.
to be accessing things from their own device.
Oh, of course. Bear with me one moment. I'll just stop sharing my screen and share a different screen, and I can show you a quick example. If you give me one moment, I'll load the page up.
Thank you.
Have to forgive my slightly slow internet. Being a technology company, there's always something being downloaded or uploaded somewhere. So I'll share with you what this looks like now. So you should be able to see my web browser at this point.
Yes.
So if I take you to our science, these are just our Avantis World science resources. So we do have photos, videos, models as well, but this is our sort of latest and greatest content. So if animals, that's where we were just now. I'll show you what that would look like. So I showed you briefly the pond habitat. So let's take a look instead, maybe forest floor. So this is what it would look like from a student's perspective. Okay, so what we're allowing teachers to do now is actually set this work out to their students. So I could send this page, and I'm hoping you can see what I can see here. Send this page out to their students. It will give you a little overview of where you're about to go, what you're about to see, and then all of the information that you will need to understand the scene. I'm trying to scroll slowly. I apologize, I'm a fast reader, so I also wrote all of this, so I know there's. So each section will explain what it is you're going to look for, and then what you actually are interested in seeing is going to be the virtual resource itself. So when I click on that link, you'll see it opens up a new tab, and what it will do is it will put that user into this scene by themselves, so they can explore. So there's no safeguarding issues or anything there. So if, for example, a student is doing this at home, you can set this as homework and they can still explore the VR scene. Then when you get into school, you could launch the same scene onto your VR headsets. Okay? And even what you can do now with our newest update is you can have some students in school doing it on the headsets and some students at home doing it on their browsers, and they can all be in the same scene and see avatars of each other in that scene. So there we go. I'll ask it to let me in. So you can see this has dropped me into a little mini virtual forest here. So I can now walk through and explore, and I'm just using the W, A, S, and D keys on my keyboard. I know you can't see that from there, but so I can go and explore this little forest. And I would then be referencing that as a student. I'd be saying, look around you. What evidence can you find about the types of trees on the forest floor? And so, sorry, the little zoom window is blocking my tabs at the top there. So I can go around and explore this scene and go and find the evidence that I need to. And I think we put a squirrel in over here. And so we're currently, these explorable scenes, we currently have just short of 80 to go alongside those other 1,000 or so resources that we have in the Class VR portal. So in terms of science content, our big focus at the moment has been science, geography, and history. I know most of you are probably quite interested in science, so another particular favourite of mine that we've recently finished is our 5 senses. So I'll give you a brief look at that. So this is a sort of mock-up laboratory. And one of the things that we always try to keep in mind when we're developing these resources is how can we do things in virtual reality that you can't otherwise do in a classroom. Okay, so I'll jump straight into loading the scene. We'll close the forest floor, give that a chance to load. So yeah, we're very much about how can we bring things into the classroom otherwise are impossible. None of us see much point in putting on a virtual reality headset and then watching, for example, 2 magnets just stick together, because why wouldn't you just get 2 magnets and stick them together? How is virtual reality helping in that situation? So we've tried to create larger, more exciting, more engaging rooms for people to use. So for example, if you're learning about the senses, this is one we recently developed. You can visit our 5 senses lab. So here's your sense of touch, and you follow the cable back. So I can see that's the yellow cable, and that will show you what area of the brain is being triggered when you trigger your sense of touch. Same again for sense of sound. So that's a very good example of how we're trying to do the impossible. Let students actually see how these things work and visualize things for themselves. I particularly like the eye. You can see the image reversed inside there. So yeah, there's a couple of good examples there of resources that that we're using. If that helps, does that help clarify things for you?
Yeah, it was just interesting to see how it looked.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it varies between different content types. So you may have still photos, so you can literally just look at a photo of a different place that you stand inside, all the way up to those scenes that you saw me walking through and exploring and interacting with. So we try and make something for everyone.
The 2 resources you showed us were computer-generated resources. Do you also have
Yes,
videos?
we do. Yeah, we have a selection of videos on there. I don't have the videos on my desktop at the moment,
no
but yeah, we do. We have the majority of our resources are photos and videos. They tend to be more geographical,
yeah.
Simply because of the nature of being able to see other things. When it comes to the scientific and the historical, we tend to make things that are 3D generated, because then we can do those impossible things.
I know.
We can create things that don't exist, or that do exist and they're so small we can't see them.
Either too small or too large for the classroom.
Exactly.
Or
that's
too
one
dangerous.
of the challenges of my job. Or too dangerous. That's it. That's what we're working on now. But yeah, that is what we do, and that's how we implement VR in the classroom. If anyone else has any questions, I'd be happy to talk through them.
I've been asking all the questions, so maybe I'll turn off the recording now and give others a chance to ask questions.